Hello, many thanks for you. I'm your host, Akalu Bakale. My guest today is Dr. Jamal Hassan from America. Today we are going to discuss on current visa restriction imposed by America on Ethiopian officials. Welcome, Dr. Jamal.
First of all, thank you so much, Mr. Hagalu Bakale and OBN International and the staff members. I do appreciate. Thank you for having me on this program today.
Why America put such a pressure on Ethiopia?
Uh, I do think that if you look at the history of America from day one, America always go after their interests. They really never care about other nations' interests. Whenever they know that in that country they have bigger interests, that's where they're after. For example, since 1903, as all of us know, America and Ethiopia has a very good relationship. But now, if you look at the history between this time, there is many times America had to withdraw from, push Ethiopia with restriction, and they scared Ethiopia, saying that we will take our donation money if you don't do this, if you do this. For example, in 1973, significant things like today, what is happening today happened. Ethiopia didn't listen. Ethiopia didn't fall for their pressure, because Ethiopia has always been independent nation from day one. So that is what they need to do today too. America always push you to the farthest level until they cannot push you no more. So my advice to the Ethiopian government and Dr. Abiy Ahmed, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, the donation money, I don't think there is any nation on the planet that become rich with donation money. America can stop their donation money. Ethiopia must continue according to their law and principles, not according to America.
Can this visa restriction affect a long-standing relations between the two countries?
My thing is whether this visa restriction going to continue, or America after this election within some time say, oh, you know what, we got to talk diplomatically and we have to fix this problem without restricting visa. They could say that, or they could continue. Regardless, I think Ethiopia must put their own interest first before any nations. Even if America said this is going to be long-term problem, or they're going to continue to restrict more people, more leaders of Ethiopia, or connect their donations forever. Ethiopia shouldn't be really worried. For example, instead, they should have relationship with other countries, and with Russia, with China, with European countries, and with African countries. Today, Africa in itself, it is 54 different countries. Let me tell you, if Ethiopia and the African countries united and independently push the West and say no when the Western is trying to push their propaganda into their agenda, whether they like it or not, within very short time, the United States of America and the Western country will come back to Africa. Because let me tell you a story. There is a professor at the university, one of the University of California. He wrote a book. He said, America cannot be America without Africa. European countries cannot be countries without Africa. Really, if you look at the history of these Western nations, their wealth, their richness, and everything they depend on comes from Africa. So it is time for Ethiopia and for Africa in general to say no. They should never be they should never be a dog for the Western nation to be controlled by a remote. So my advice is, whether this is going to be long-term goal for America to discontinue donation and restricting visa, Ethiopia should always depend uh, on their rule of law and principles and their natural resources. If they do, for example, there was similar issue in 19, I think it was in 1970. America pushed the King Abdulaziz of Saudi Arabia. They said, if you don't do this, if you don't follow what we say, we're going to restrict, we're going to section you, we're going to ban you for life, they said. King Abdulaziz said, my ancestors lived on camel meat and camel milk. Even if all Western nations are going to ban me, I am not going to listen. I am not going to be a dog for the Western nation. I'm not going to do everything that you say according to America. So the Arabians, we as a nation, we follow our own principles and law. Guess what? Within about 6 months, I think Reagan, at the time Jimmy Carter was a president of this country, within about 6 months, Reagan came into the power. He fixed that relationship. America sometimes, when they push you, you need to fight against what they're trying to push on you. No country has, especially in 2021, no nations, I don't care how much power they have, no nation has a right to push their way on of life on you, on Ethiopia, and on Africans. Today, if they're talking about democracy, look, America, why don't they fix American democracy first? The democracy that doesn't work in America doesn't work anywhere in the world. Their own democracy has never worked in the United States of America. As I'm speaking today, more than 40% of Black people, brown and black in this country, is negatively affected and being treated as a second or third class citizens in the United States of America. Health inequality, wealth inequality, and every single privilege in America goes to white men and white women. They should fix that problem here in America before they try to impose their way of life and American democracy on Ethiopia. Second, for the last 2 or 3 years today in the United States, America has been caging a little kids, from a year old to 12 years old, in prison. They send their parents back to Latin America, and some of those kids are in Texas border, they are dying in jail, literally in cage. They should fix this problem in America. Like Donald Trump always said, America, we have a money problem. We have money problems in the United States here in America. Why don't we fix those problems here before we try to be a police of the world? So that is my statement. America, as an American, I am not being treated as a doctor, as very educated person, as a parent, a father who have children who were born in this country. We are not being treated as a white man and a white woman because of the color of our skin in the United States of America. So we Americans must fix our problems and practice the democracy we speak and we try to push on Ethiopia here in America.
There is a violation of human rights abuse during TPLF regime also. Why they didn't take action on this?
Here is a problem.
Why now? Why now?
Yes, here is the problem. America, if you look at the American history, America has always been Hippocratic nation. As you said, for the 27 years that TPLF was in power, alone in one day, while Oromos were praying at the Eritrea, almost 7,000 children were killed and massacred by the TPLF gang members. The United States of America did not say a word. In Chalanko, the TPLF gang members in 2013, I still remember, They went into Chalanko area. They killed 6 farmers, innocent farmers who were just doing their things in the farming. Nobody said a single word. In 2001, TPLF massacred so many engineers, students at the university who were doing engineering program in the medical school from Jimma University. So many of them died and were killed by TPLF gang members. The Western society did not say a word. You know why? Because they follow this divided and rule. That is what is being going on, especially during the leftist during the liberals lead this country. Look what Obama has done in Africa. Look what Joe Biden is doing. The same thing was happening during Bill Clinton in Rwanda between Hutu and Tutsi genocide. Bill Clinton was the president of this country. Every time Democrats hold the White House, there is always a problem in Africa, whether in Ethiopia, in Rwanda, in Tanzania, in Kenya, or somewhere in Africa. There is always a problem. Especially Democratic agenda is to divide it and rule Africa between tribes and between ethnic groups. They knew that TPLF is one of the smallest ethnic groups. They know that Oromo population, Oromo people are one of the largest ethnic groups in Ethiopia. If they support TPLF, they know that they can control from Washington, D.C. with a remote control. If majority leaders in Ethiopia or any country of Africa, they know that they cannot control with a remote, because majority, just like Dr. Abiy Ahmed is doing right now, majority will never sell the nation. They will never follow other nations' interests to stay in power. Majority always want the benefit of the nation and the benefit of its own citizens. That is what Dr. Abiy Ahmed is doing today. He is saying that if Dr. Abiy Ahmed, like this TPLF, Afan Oromo speaking TPLF is saying in America, in Canada, and Australia, if Dr. Abiy Ahmed is one of those people who remotely controlled by the West, he could do that easily. He could listen what Joe Biden says and lead this country and stay in power for the next 40 years. All this problem is happening because he's saying, I am not going to listen to what other person telling me. I am the prime minister. Let me lead my country fairly, accordingly, and help my people to get from this poverty, out of this poverty, into another stage of the wealth. That is the problem America always have had from day one. They want to divide it and rule Ethiopia while they're sitting in Washington, D.C.
When TPLF attacked Ethiopian National Defense Force in the Northern Command, Americans didn't say anything about it. Do they care about Ethiopian democracy?
Actually, by the way, I am actually even personally regret that I've been voting since I came to this country. I've always voted for them. But now deeply, as I'm researching, investigating about their past, American liberal community is one of the most corrupted community in America. I would rather to have a conservative president lead America, because under the conservative, almost everything is so smooth, and they don't really want to involve in the international affairs. So once again, if America really cares about Ethiopian democracy, Ethiopia and the United States have had the longest diplomatic relationship since 1903, which going to be 121 years. If America really cares about Ethiopia, why do you think Ethiopia is still one of the poorest nations in Africa? Don't you think if you have a wealthy, very strong and powerful friends, you'll at least be a little bit at the middle level? So that tells me that tells you, especially the Ethiopians, Americans do not care about Ethiopia. The Western society do not care about Africa in general. I am saying this wide open, and I do stand with my words. I am actually started writing articles and going to write a book about this fact too. Ethiopia should always depend on itself, on its resources. America do not even care about their own democracy. If they do, today in America, the Black citizens, African American citizens, wouldn't live as a third-class citizens. Every weekend in America, you can see from international community who is dying. African Americans, Black male, Black children, Black women by American police. If there is real democracy, American police wouldn't go out killing Black people in America. So how would you, what kind of mind really sometimes Africans and the Ethiopians really have to think that America care about their own good? No, they don't. They really don't.
How you assess U.S. intervention in internal affairs of several countries, in Libya, Iraq, and Afghanistan? As you said, Black is also killed in America by American soldiers.
Every single day, every weekend. Now, if I just do research 5 minutes right now, probably last night, because Sunday night, police American is killed over 50 people in America. So that is what is going on since day one. By the way, don't forget, African Americans came to this country in 1621 with chains from Africa as slaves. That went on for hundreds of years until African Americans came together. Just about 100 something years ago, we became free, quote unquote, just free. That free was just on the book. We still, as a Black people, as Black and brown in this country, still, we do not have the same freedom as white Americans. Even white Americans know about this. That's why if you look at when George Floyd died, from west coast to the east coast, from Midwest to the South, every one of us went out protesting. Americans lost billions of dollars because people are fed up, and they were burning businesses and burning buildings here in America. We have lost billions of dollars. Why America don't fix our problem before they jump into African problems? Let us go back to Libya. I am not the one who is saying we, majority of Americans, since few days ago, by the way, I am so proud. I am Republican right now. I am American Republican. I used to be a liberal. So we, the Republican of America, white Republicans, Black Republicans, we are saying, especially to the liberal community, is stop your hypocrisy. Stop the war against other nations. Stop being a police of the world. Before we do that, we must fix our own problem here. Do you know how many veterans are homeless in America? The veterans who fought in Libya, in Iraq, in Syria, they come back. When they come back to America, they've been treated like third or fourth class citizens. Americans should just treat our veterans, our own citizens here in America, before they jump onto other countries. Look what they have done to Syria, Iraq. 18 years of Iraq war cost us trillions of dollars. Our taxpayers, our tax money cost us trillions of dollars, and we didn't win that war. And between both countries, we have lost millions of lives. It is time for the international community to stop America, to not listen to America. Because Ethiopian democracy, by the way, I believe there are more democracy Ethiopia has a strong democracy than America as of today. Rwanda has a strong democracy than America as of today. Botswana has a strong democracy as more than America. Because I have been to, within the 45 days, I was in Rwanda and Botswana. Guess what? Rwandans, police in Rwanda do not go around and kill people based on what they look like. They don't do that in Botswana. They don't do that in Ethiopia. So you telling me America has democracy? No. America is the least democratic nation on the planet. I can say that. Democratic nation will never go out and divide its own citizens based on the skin of the color and kill them. You don't see that in any of the African countries, only in America, sadly. How hypocritical is this? So Ethiopian citizens, my fellow Ethiopian citizens, whether you live in the United States of America, around the world, or in Ethiopia, you must stand with your country and protect your nation from all enemies, external and internal enemies. America went to Iraq. They destroyed. Yemen, been destroyed. They went to Syria, they destroyed. Look at Libya. Every country since the Japanese war, every country that America involved in with war never came out as good. They always destroy somebody else's nation. Because of this, you have to, sometimes actually it is better to just have very light diplomatic relationship with America and stay away from American propaganda, because Ethiopia is independent nation for long time. Ethiopia was Ethiopia before even Europeans came to America. So this is my message.
Several USA senators opposing Joe Biden administration pressure on Ethiopia. How do you see this? Senator Inhofe is also in Ethiopia. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed welcomed him and he tweeted on social media.
I have done a lot of research on his background, Senator Inhofe from Oklahoma. He is one of the greatest men and the God-fearing man and a Republican. He always stood with the truth. He has spoken against many wars that America trying to wage war on different countries, and he always stood with the truth. By the way, he said, he stated the history of the Ethiopia from 1974 up to this day. I don't even know that kind of how he knew inside out of Ethiopian history. That guy is so brilliant. One thing that he said that he know more about Ethiopia than anybody in that room, which was really true statement. I was so amazed and so surprised. Then he also said that Dr. Abiy Ahmed is one of the most educated, not only in Ethiopia, in Africa, to lead that nation, which is another true statement. And he also against that how TPLF used to lead Ethiopia by inciting wars between different ethnic groups and between different clans and all of these things and disasters that was happening before Dr. Abiy Ahmed came to power, meaning prior to from 2008 all the way to 1991. Senator Inhofe stated Ethiopian history from 1974 to now. In that room, he stood up and said, Dr. Abiy Ahmed is one of the most educated men, not only in Ethiopia, in entire Africa, which is true statement. He also against how TPLF used to incite wars between different ethnic groups and between different clans and tribes to stay in power for as long as possible. American liberal democracy, they don't like that. They always never liked the way we Republicans do in this country. Republicans, if you look at the history of Republican, if you look at the history of us in this country, we always say, if there is a conflict between two ethnic groups, let us sit down and make a peace truthfully by standing on the truth. But liberal people, liberal party in this country, they always do what? The same strategy that TPLF used for 27 years in Ethiopia, inciting wars between different groups. Look in America right now what they are doing. If the police for somehow do wrong in some community, they will just blame the police in itself and blame this person of white community or black community, instead of saying, let us reform the system of policing in this country. So because of that, we Americans, almost 70% of Americans against Joe Biden's administration. Joe Biden's administration, especially Joe Biden doesn't know how to lead the country. We are looking forward to make him one-term president.
How do you see Prime Minister Abiy administration effort toward prosperity?
Interestingly enough, I have to say this because within my time so far in this life, I have been politically, locally and internationally active when it comes to politics, and I do read political news, and I do read about different countries and different countries' leadership. Dr. Abiy Ahmed, as Senator Jim Inhofe said, one of the most educated and gifted and talented men. He is honestly there to lift his people up through education, wealth creation, and security. So Dr. Abiy Ahmed, if I was the leader of the world, he should get another Nobel Prize, because he is the only one in that country, only prime minister who said, we all are Ethiopians. I don't care what is your religious background and ethnicity and social status or your gender. We must work together to lift our country up, to take ourselves from this poverty to the wealth. He is the only prime minister who refused to listen to outsiders and who refused to be a remote control robot. If he wants to be a robot, again, I will tell you, Dr. Abiy Ahmed doesn't have to do anything. When America tells him, don't involve with Nile River and just listen to what we say, we're going to give you this amount of money, he could have taken his money and said, okay, you know what? America, you know the best. If he does that, he will be a leader of that country for the next 50 years, because America loves a robot control person, a person who will be controlled from the Washington, D.C. Dr. Abiy Ahmed is not that kind of leader. He is a leader who cares for his country, his citizens. Ethiopians, my fellow Ethiopians, we are the Oromo citizens, Amhara, Tigray, Gurage, Kambata, Sidama, everyone in that country. If you don't listen, if you don't stand by this great prime minister, you're going to regret. You're going to regret. I'm telling you. You better work with him. You better work with him to take yourself out of this poverty. If having a great diplomatic relationship with some other countries, with most powerful countries.
This is not the only issue of the government. This is it's more a sovereignty of the country.
Yes. So, again, my fellow citizens, you better stand with your country. Ethiopia is a historic nation. even when every nation, every country in Africa fall under the colony, we did not. We wouldn't do it today, we wouldn't do it tomorrow. Stand with your prime minister, and Ethiopia will be one of the wealthiest nations on this planet. I do know that.
What do you think should Ethiopians do to stop unfair USA pressure on Ethiopia?
In my opinion, Ethiopia should continue. My advice is Ethiopia first work together. Ethiopian citizens, Ethiopian leaders must work together with unity to make Ethiopia great. At the same time, I still want to see Dr. Abiy Ahmed, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, and the Ethiopian ambassadors work with Americans diplomatically. Light diplomatic, always very important. One thing that I learned from this country by living in America, the Westerners, they always smile. While they always smile, but there is something behind of their smile. They don't show you a frown face. I would like to see Ethiopia to be the same. Smile, always do your thing, always with a smile approach America and any Western nation. But behind your smile, you know what should be. However, don't ever frown, meaning have light diplomatic relationship with America, with all Western nations. That is how it should be. Play a very smart game to win America, at the same time to promote your country's wealth and get out of this poverty, if that does make sense.
Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.